Colin with you. Mike Dodd will serve first. His team needs to win 2 games in order to have a chance at the championship. And they'll start right off and serve Kent Steffes. Steffes is in gray. Steffes has a blue hat. Steffes has a kill right off the bat. Our first referee, Jim Leonard, who sells real estate in Manhattan Beach in his spare time, and umpire Steve Burmaster. Yeah, take a bow, Steve. Leonard and Burmaster. Kent Steffes with the serve. They'll start out on Dodd. And Dodd hits one right into the bottom of the net.
Pretty quick move by Karch Kirai on the fake block.
I think Karch and Kent watched this very closely, and they sense a little fatigue in Dodd.
And remember last week in San Francisco when Kirai and Steffes, there you get a good look at young Kent. The youngest millionaire ever in the history of the sport. Probably the youngest 2 millionaire, 5 millionaire.
Look out! Fabulous play by Steffes. A tremendous dig. I don't know what Dodd is arguing about. Dodd is saying something to Jim Leonard. The best I ever saw at stopping the ball in his hands was Gary Hooper, former world champion who now sells insurance in Los Angeles, California. And the ace by Steffes, and quickly it's 3-0.
Hoop was a great catcher of the volleyball.
Absolutely. And then he would throw it up there. And very, very quickly, 3-0 as Kent Steffes.
I started to talk about San Francisco. Remember last week when Kirai and Steffes went down to their worst finish of third? They came out in their match in the finals of the losers bracket very lethargic, didn't warm up well, didn't warm up hard enough. And I think they're going to remember that and try to get out to a very fast start, as they have done.
Mike Dodd gets the kill. We should tell you that Killer Luke Sunglasses by Bausch & Lomb will present $500 to the most lethal weapon here in the final. Steffes taking a tumble on this one.
Well, Kirai and Steffes take turns blocking and playing defense. And Steffes is completely stretched out after that ball. Of course, they split those duties. Mike Whitmarsh up there blocking all the time for his team. One of the reasons why he's had so many problems with getting tired. You jump about 500 times on Saturday and Sunday, and you get tired too.
No, thank you. Karch Kirai, 87 career wins, 3rd all time. He's won 49 of his last 62 with Steffes. Notwithstanding last week when the Kings finished 3rd. Dodd, and Dodd blisters one through. Big Mikey Dodd, he's won just over $50,000 so far this year, over $1 million in his career. 5 Manhattan Open wins. He won his first back at State Beach with the Hav. Hav 5th this week, in case you're wondering. Steffes. It could be a point if Whit can get some meat on it. Not yet. 3-0 is our score. Karch, and Karch throws it down the line.
Whit just got a little chicken on it, I guess. Not some steak. Couldn't put the ball away. Karch all over it, and the Kings look pretty fresh. A lot of spring and a lot of focus right now. Could mean trouble for Mike and Mike.
Of course, everybody's been trying to figure out how to beat Karch and Kent. We did a little spoof on that last week in the tees, and we've gotten a lot of letters with suggestions on how to beat Karch and Kent. We're going to try to infiltrate those letters as we go along today, as Kent makes a beautiful dig. Look at that set. Whitmarsh blocks it. Karch is there. And Dodd is there also. He's coming on the left now. He's pretty good over there. And he tapes it and taps it, and it goes down.
Mike Dodd is great on the right, but he is just pretty good on the left, and he would admit the same. But getting a little help from the equipment, finding a way to get the ball to the sand. Mike Whitmarsh with the block. But look at Karch. You've got to always be down and ready to cover after you set the ball.
Karch, the best there ever was at covering, at least in my opinion.
Yes, indoors or out. I've seen him make some cover plays that just, quite frankly, nobody else would anticipate or be focused enough to be down and ready to make.
So Kirai will serve, wearing his customary pink hat, familiar pink hat, and he whacks it out of bounds. And we got an interesting letter. John Vo from St. Petersburg, Florida. He wants to know, is it legal to block or spike the serve? Never seen it done either indoor or outdoor. Of course, it was outlawed indoors, but you can do it on the beach. Can you not, Paul?
Yeah, the only problem is there's only 2 of you out there. I mean, it was commonplace.
You better get it.
Yeah, if you don't get it, your team's in trouble.
Yeah, John, we're going to send you a T-shirt for asking that good question. Block or spike the serve? Theoretically, you could do it on a short serve.
Well, I also remember some people serving up the sky ball and then would get it hit right back in their faces if it was a short sky ball.
Steffes with a tough serve. Dodd's off the net, and he's into the net.
Spike by Mike Dodd. Ball short into the tape.
Mike Dodd cannot convert. Now it's 4-0.
Set back just a little bit, but these are the kind of sets that Mike Dodd is used to hitting. Had years of practice hitting those from Tim Hovland.
Yeah, but when he was fresh, he's huffing and puffing a little now. The final just started. See if Whitmarsh is fresh. Steffes with a dig. He's really improved his backcourt defense. And his offense has always been strong. So quickly, the Kings of the Beach, mad about last week, come out with a vengeance and lead 5-zip.
Winning percentage.
Yeah.
Lots of different conditions, traveling all over the country every week. And tough competition. 49 of 63.
78%. Karchin Kent third last week. Have won 9 of 11. And Kent Steffes will serve. Karch perched at the net. So far, Karch Steffes have looked pretty good in this one. 5-0 they lead. And Karch by Steffes. Steffes misses an easy one. Nice shot by Mike Dodd, showing a little sting on the ball.
Remember, Steffes told me a couple of weeks ago that he was going to not necessarily back off his physical training, because you know he's going to stay with that, but he's going to start doing a lot more touching of the ball. Technically, he didn't think he was playing all that well, and right now his ball control looks very good.
Dodd had a dig, and Dodd puts it away.
That's good heat from Dodd, deep middle. He moves the ball around so well, particularly in transition. Pretty good set, and look at Mike Dodd. Knows where to go. Nobody's going to dig that unless you just guess right and are standing in the right spot.
Serving Steffes. Steffes says he has Whitmarsh figured out now. What do you think he has figured out about Whitmarsh?
I think what he does against Whit is when he's going to hit line, he contacts the ball as high as he possibly can and hits it with a flatter trajectory. I think what he was doing is letting the ball fall out of his hands, and Whit was able to swat it down. Now he's hitting the ball much flatter off the top and deeper into the court, and then slicing off quickly cross court, which will probably get from Karch here.
Nice dig by Karch, and I don't think Dodd can get there unless he can do the soccer kick. And he thought about it. He said, if I were just born in Brazil 19 years ago, I might have been able to bicycle kick that back over. By the way, that is legal on the AVP Tour. It's legal to kick the ball or do whatever you want.
Yeah, we might, however, if anybody other than the Brazilians try it, we might have to call the stretcher for a broken neck or back. It might be a one-point landing.
6-1 is a score. And Dodd sneaks it through.
Off the block of Kent Steffes.
Mike Dodd.
Mike Dodd, side out. MD and Whit.
He is 6th on the all-time list.
TV Rags, Mike Dodd back to serve.
In terms of win, yeah, he's doing pretty well. Married to Patty Orozco Dodd, who's on the women's tour. They have a little girl named Dallas. And Steffes, nice cut shot. I want to get this in, Paul, real quick. Daphne from Seal Beach wrote to us, when discussing cute men on the tour, why does no one ever mention Kent Steffes? He has a stud bod and is gorgeous. That's Daphne from Seal Beach.
No address, no phone number.
I don't remember us ever discussing the cute men on tour.
No.
Maybe you're discussing that with some of the other announcers you work with in your spare time. But Daphne, we got to tell you, yeah, we think Steffes is okay. Most of the guys are decent-looking guys on tour. Hey, she had a lot more to say about some of the other stud puppies, but we can't read it on the air. It's just a little too X-rated. Daphne. So Steffes to serve. Scar is completely healed up on the right side of his face. Remember, he had 10 stitches last year playing war games when he fell in a creek.
Come on.
Steffes has it. Good defense. Can he hit?
Over him. Come on, Mike.
Right to Dodd.
Get out, Mike. No.
And Karch stuffs Dodd on the rebound.
The over him was right, but Steffes didn't hit the ball over him down the line. Hit the ball over him right to Mike Dodd, who was camped in the middle of the court. Easy transition play. To begin with, Mike Whitmarsh looks, calls line, and Karch listens, reads, and stuffs.
7-1 to score.
No.
I used to play with a partner, Paul, who shall remain nameless. But every time I would go up to hit against the block, he'd say, over his head, over his head. I go, which head? Which head? Which guy's head? Left or right head?
And what, he wasn't sure?
Well, sometimes the other guy's in there too, you know, and you're not quite sure. As Karch gets the kill. Karch has a good theory. He loves playing volleyball because he plays with Kent. They win the most tournaments. Then Kent skips the King of the Beach, and Karch ends up winning the most money.
Yeah, Steffes told me he's playing King of the Beach this year, and they're both playing like it right now. 8-1 on the scoreboard, taking turns blocking, taking turns playing defense, and their side-out game looks flawless right now.
Karch and Kent up big, 7 points in an anticlimactic final. We were a little worried about this.
Nice.
As Karch aces down the line.
I think they're trying to make a statement that last week, with that horrible third-place finish, was just an aberration for the Kings.
Kings are looking strong. They're pumped up at 9-1.
Then the big win in the semifinals over Johnson and Stoklos. Then they lost on time to Curie and Steffes. A long game that, as you can tell by the score, went on time. And then they beat the Brazilians 15-10 after going out to a big lead in a real battle. Curie and Steffes playing one less game, but they have had a long, long rest. And that was the turning point in the match. Go down to match number 4, 9-8 in overtime against Brent Frohoff and Ricky Ludes. Tied at 8 all. Curie and Steffes, Ricky Ludes hit a ball out of bounds, and that was it. But that was indeed the tournament.
Let's take a look at the other finishers while we have a moment. I am told we are honoring the men in 13th this week. Mark Cairns and Jim Nichols, good for a 13th. Dane Blanton and Lee Regrand last week played well. Albert Hanneman, Matt Unger in 13th, Doug Faust, and Brian Gatsky. How about the gang in 9th, Paul?
Kevin Martin and Chris Young, you know, they have moved themselves into the next group of teams. They're doing very well. That's a bad finish for a good team. Fennoy, Moana, and Hovland, 9th, not nearly good enough for them. Bullion and Verbalovich bouncing around from partner to partner. And the surprise team of the year, Tanner and Welch, 2nd last week. They dropped down. And Scott Friedrichsen and Leif Hansen having a solid summer, as a team we mentioned at the top of the show. And there's Brent Frohoff with Ricky Ludes, and Adam Johnson and Randy Stoklos not doing well. And boy, we were flying through those, but we know it was Al Jantz and Pat Powers in 4th position, and it was John Brivich and Tim Walmer in 7th, the team that I was going to say we mentioned earlier.
I want to make one point about Tanner and Welch. They actually played very well this week, and they lost 2 games that ran out on time by 1 point. So theoretically, they could have been right here, but sometimes it goes that way.
Yeah, similar to the tough luck that Johnson and Stoklos had at the beginning of the year when they lost very close games on
Look
time.
out below as MD.
Where's the block? Is none. Thank you. Pound by Mike Dodd.
Nice
Boy,
play.
can he dig the ball. Not only is he in the right spot, he can dig the ball with great control, and Steffes and Curie sort of conceded that one.
9-2 is our score. Easy serve to Steffes. Set, and he chops it inside the block.
Steffes not having the same sorts of problems as he did in the past, or that other players on the tour have with Mike Whitmarsh. Siding out extremely well. Steffes already with 10 kills so far.
And he's in the lead for the Loop Kill Award.
Didn't win it last week?
No, he was really mad about that. As Dodd pumps it through there. You know, we were talking about ways to beat Karch and Kent. Lynn Sears from San Jose, California, she suggests to serve Karch. That Karch is not as good a passer as everybody thinks. That he's certainly there. He shanks one right there. And Dodd and Whitmarsh have a chance. So Lynn, and they muck it up. They could not quite get there.
Little collision, too, I think, as Mike Dodd was running by to get out of the way of Mike Whitmarsh. Might have clipped Mike Whitmarsh with his shin on the forehead. There's the shank pass. Of course, I disagree with that strategy. Karch Curie is the best passer that I have ever seen, maybe along with St. John Smith on the beach anyway.
She also had another suggestion. She said, try the old St. John Hovland technique of stopping play to bitch about everything. Call back-to-back timeouts, appeal to the crowd, get a yellow card, break up their rhythm. Nobody can beat these guys by playing fair. What am I saying? All right. Dodd and Whitmarsh up against it, trying to beat the Kings of the Beach. We'll be back.
Official thirst quencher and a product of the
Paul Sunderland, the Miller Lite Open here in Grand Haven. 11-2 is our score.
Right here, center stage, the AVP.
Karch Curie and Kent Steffes looking very powerful this week. Capacity crowd here at City Beach, the mecca for volleyball here in the Grand Haven area.
Kent Steffes back to serve.
Kent Steffes serving. It's been all Karch and Kent. They got out 5-0, and they have been dominating so far. Whitmarsh with the thump.
Dodd and Whitmarsh certainly with a chance to come back. There's plenty of time on the clock because Curie and Steffes have been scoring points so fast. Not a lot of side outs in their opposition by Dodd and Whitmarsh. But Whit's going to have to get awfully hot blocking. 4 or 5 stuffs just to get back into this.
Nobody, come on. Get up and hit it. Hit it.
Oh, Dodd hit it out. Great dig. Double hit it, but that's legal on a hard-driven ball if it's one attempt. And Mike Whitmarsh with a pretty good set. Dodd just whipping it out of bounds. That would have given him a little bit of hope. Karch Curie back to serve with a big lead, 11-2 over Dodd and Whitmarsh.
There's line.
Mike Dodd over the top.
Spike off the block of Ken Steffes, out of the reach of Karch Karai, who tries to keep the rally alive. The side out to Dodd and Whitmarsh.
11-2.
Power
Dodd and
players.
Whitmarsh
Mike
trying to
Dodd.
figure out Kings of the Beach. Dodd with the serve, short this time. And Karch going on to Dodd dig.
Get up.
Witt's doing a pretty good job of setting the off ball. Because Mike Dodd continues to dig. He now has 8 digs. Dodd headed towards another double-figure digging performance. Very hittable ball for the score.
That's double contact.
Good call. Good call. Karch going down, pushing the ball well back off the net. Double contact. Karai and Steffes out big, but Dodd and Whitmarsh coming back little by little. The blocking of Mike Whitmarsh.
Hey, you got to dance, get up and dance. Next side change, honey.
Karch Karai with the pink hat.
Play set to resume now after the side change. Mike Dodd back to serve for serving 11.
Dodd to serve. Karai and Steffes leading 11-4. Short serve.
Quick. Over.
Steffes hard cross court. Whitmarsh cannot make the play. Dodd down in the angle, but just not down far enough.
Seven-point lead for Karai Steffes. Championship final.
Good.
They're serving tougher this week.
Come on.
And digging better.
Cut.
Karai kills it.
Boy, they're just putting it all together now. Serving very, very tough, both playing good defense and finishing the play. See, Karai and Steffes have such good ball control. Here you see the very end of the play, Karch going hard off Mike Whitmarsh. But once they dig a ball, it's rare that it's not put in a hittable position. 20-second timeout taken by Dodd and Whitmarsh. And so far, it has been the Kings without much difficulty. One very difficult match against Frohoff and Ludes in the semifinals. Mike Dodd, Mike Whitmarsh have had a very good season. You can see by their early season performances, a first in Fort Myers, most notably third in Clearwater. They won a lot of money there. And then for them, they struggled a little bit. Fifth in Phoenix, San Jose a 17th. But fourth last week, as Mike Dodd said, getting better here. They're into the finals at least.
12-4 is the score as the Kings make a rare error. And now Mike Whitmarsh to serve. Spinner to Kent. Of course, we asked you for suggestions on how to beat Karch and Kent. We got a letter from Brad Jones from Omaha, Nebraska. He says 2 ways to beat them. Serve them a ton of hubby wives and forbid them from playing together. Sincerely, Brad Jones. Your T-shirt is on the way. 15 hubby wives might do it.
It might.
Then again, maybe not.
Well, if they're not playing together,
Could
it's
have
not
been
a problem.
17-15 on time. In a little pollen, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too. 12-4 is our score. Karch and easily chopping inside.
Good call by Kent Steffes. They're communicating extremely well, and it's a heck of a lot easier when every ball is passed and set in perfect position. You got all kinds of time to look at the defense.
Line.
Whitmarsh
Come on,
over
come on.
Karch, but Kent is
Left,
right
left,
there.
left. Okay.
Gobbling it up. He takes a little back set, and he puts it away. Kings are flawless right now. They're polishing their crown.
Steffes goes left side, left side. Karch goes, okay. I set the ball at UCLA, was an All-American there. Set for a while on the national team before they moved me to outside hitter. I can do that.
Here's Steffes. It's 13-4.
Angle.
Spike by Mike Dodd.
Mike Dodd gets to put away. Let's update the Kill Award. Maybe in doubt?
Maybe. Steffes with 14. He's the only hitter in double digits. Dodd with 9. Make that 10 now. Mike Whitmarsh with only 3. Of course, he's not getting many serves. He's only got 5 serves overall. And Karch with only 5 kills. Looking for 6.
And Dodd is there. Nice up.
Angle.
And nice down. Good shot. One thing about Dodd, he'll never give up.
No. He will not lay down. He's been down in positions like this many, many times throughout the course of his career. But he knows he's going to have to get some luck. in order to make this happen.
Whitmarsh with the serve, going to Karch this time. And he cuts it inside. Dodd with the block. 4:09 to go. Clock will not be a factor. It's 13-5. Of course, we do have one more letter on how, at least suggestion on how to beat Karch and Kent. Do you want to read this, Paul, or you want me to?
No, here it is. It says you have Chris Marlowe become their coach, trainer, and promotional agent, underline agent. And he then sends them to put on volleyball clinics in Rwanda and Bosnia.
That came from String Cheese Proffer, who lives in Big Sky, Montana, and he wants a medium T-shirt.
It's a big idea for a little guy with not much to do in Big Sky, Montana.
String Cheese, we're going to send you a T-shirt, courtesy of the AVP of Karch. You can tell when Karch is into it. I heard a big grunt all the way up here.
Steffes is enjoying it. Steffes walking back to serve. He's got a big grin on his face. He says, yeah, my partner is thumping today.
Steffes with 63 wins. He is 4th on the all-time list, behind Karai, Stoklos, and Ninja Smith. Steffes got it.
Well, they're just flawless. They won the winner's bracket against the same team. Dodd and Whitmarsh have had a superb tournament. They beat Stoklos and Johnson in the semifinals. They beat the Brazilians. They beat everybody except for Kirai and Steffes in this tournament, who they lost to twice.
Championship point as that serve goes out of bounds.
Of
course, we should update you really quickly. The AVP did have its player meeting this week, but I'm not sure if format was put in place concretely. We went to the meeting. It was an exciting meeting.
Lasted till 11:15.
Yeah, from 7 o'clock. But I don't know if the format was in place. As Whitmarsh makes the dig. Starts for the block.
Oh, great cover.
Dodd wheeling. Here comes Steffes. And Steffes down the line. Nice shot. It appears that the format's going to stay the same way, don't you think? And then when we get to the NBC telecast, it will just be one game in the final.
Well, if there is going to be a new format, it will begin in Milwaukee.
Okay. That will be in a couple of weeks. That will be on NBC. Paul and I will be there for you. Next week, you're going to the Cuervo tournament. Is that true? Let's take a look at what Karch and Kent have done.
Not a bad year. Only 3 digits up there, most of them the single digit.
It is championship point.
Yes. Come on.
Karch with a dig. This could be it. No, Kent goes on 2. And Whitmarsh blocks it back. To save. Whitmarsh, no. And Steffes and Karai
were fabulous. Just fabulous. Dodd and Whitmarsh did the best they could. Look at that. That's a lot of respect. Dodd goes over, nudges Steffes a little bit and says, boy, you guys were the best today. There's no doubt about that.
Karch and Kent win again. After a week off last week in which they took 3rd, they pound Mike Whitmarsh and Mike Dodd 15-5. We'll come back, talk to the Kings after this. On the left, Dodd and Whitmarsh on the right. Started off very innocently. Everybody thought Whitmarsh was going to put the ball down. No. Karch blocked it. Then Dodd came and scooped it up. Fabulous defensive play. But alas, the Kings of the Beach were just too good. The pass, the two-hand set by Karch and the little roll shot down the line. Too much Kings of the Beach today in Grand Haven, Michigan. That was our Miller Lite play of the game. What about the Kings? What are they thinking about? Let's go down to the sand in Sunderland.
All right, after a dismal performance last week in San Francisco, falling all the way to 3rd, back in the winner's circle, how do you spell flawless? That's about what we saw today.
Yeah, we did just about everything well. We served well, we dug well, we got a couple blocks in there, and we started out great. I mean, I was getting up real high and hitting that sharp angle hit. And if I can hit that, we're going to be tough to beat.
Were you a little more focused this week after, you know, not a great performance, relatively speaking, for Kirai and Steffes last week in San Francisco?
I think we were focused last week. I mean, that was the first time we'd gotten 7 in a row. Anytime you get over halfway to 13, you got to try and stay focused to work on trying to break that streak, which is going to be tough. But we just didn't play well. Sometimes you're not going to do that. And this week, we played better and better as the tournament went on, and you saw the culmination of that in the final.
Once you got past Ricky Ludes and Brent Frohoff in a great match in the semifinals, that seemed to be the key. And I talked to you a couple weeks ago, Ken. You said you were going to not necessarily back off on the physical training, but work a little bit more on your volleyball skills, touch the ball a little bit more. Are you guys spending more time together during the week training, playing more games together?
No, we still do our once-a-week training together, but as I come into the major events like the Triple Crown and the Hermosa, I like to get off of the physical training, get more on the court, like you said, and do a lot more drills and get a lot more drill work done. And I think that's what kind of helped me with a lot of my skills today.
Always a businessman. You know, those big money tournaments are coming. All right, last question. We're back on the beach this week.
Yeah.
You know, out of the parking lot. San Francisco was beautiful, but back on a natural beach. Was that a good adjustment? Was it any adjustment at all?
I think it felt great. I love deep sand. It's harder for everybody to jump. The blockers aren't quite as high, but the hitters aren't either. You've got to make a much more precise set because of that. You can't hit the ball down hard from 10 feet off like you can on the artificial beaches. So it's a challenge, and I like it.
All right. I said it was the last question, but the friendly producer just gave me some more time. Now I got to think of something to ask. Can you play any better than that? And if you can, it could be scary the second half. And are you starting another streak? How's that for a good one?
That's a great question. There's a lot of questions there. I think we can play better, definitely. I think we have played better than that. But that doesn't come along very often. This is one of the best times I've ever played, certainly.
All right, congratulations to you. He didn't spell flawless, but I know he's a smart kid and he can spell it, but it's F-L-A-W-L-E-S-S. No, I'm not Dan Quayle. Back to you, Chris.
All right, so Karai and Steffes win our championship final 15-5. Let's now up